Yes, hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how hard is the FIFA Agent exam. A lot of people write the exam and it's quite difficult, so we're going to find out how things goes, or how many people always complain if the exam is difficult, it's not difficult. So we're going to find out everything about it. So from this video, as you can see from the thumbnail, we're going to be looking at a lot of things and to try to help you understand, is it hard, is it easy, and then we're going to see where we end up, what's your situation for those who have been preparing, so that at least we can pretty have a normal discussion about it. And as you guys know, the exam started in 2023, but 2023, that was the first time the exam started, and we had 3,800 candidates start the exam the first time, and 1,962 took the exam. I mean, 1,962 passed the exam. Actually, the first time the exam started, it was quite okay because we had an average pass of 52% rate, and then let's say half failed. 2024, I'm just, because when the exam started, we had two parts. We had people writing from, let's say, May, and then you write in November. May, November, because if you all remember, I don't know if most of you will remember, but when the exam started, there were always two sessions for people. But now, of course, you all know FIFA has made it to become just one session. So if you write the exam now and you're writing, let's take for example, if you're writing in this April, you just have just one session. You don't have a double session like when I wrote, we had two sessions. You could write in May, and if you didn't have a chance to pass, you could write it in November. So, but now the things, with every time passing, the law keeps evolving, or things change. But anyway, so that was in the let's just continue from that's 2023. 3,800 wrote the as 3,800 sat for the exam. 1,962 pass. That was 52% pass rate. Then 2024, according to FIFA's own uh, report, 10,887 candidates took the exam, and we had 40% pass. And then we had just 40% pass rate, 40.4% pass rate, meaning, let's take for example, more than, let's say, 60% failed the exam. So that was that was a little bit of, maybe probably challenging. And then we look at now into 2025, 16,117 registered for the exam, just 9,000, almost half, just 9,148 took the test. And do you know what? Shockingly, just 1,294 passed. That is 18%, the lowest rate. 18% passed. That is really, really shocking. So why was the pass rate that? Why did the pass rate drop that way? So probably we'll look at situation like it was. It was a new format. If you look at it, it probably was a new format because that was it. Last year they introduced the remote online exam that you have to sit here at home, and then you use the camera invigilator and everything. But normally you took the test by yourself. You didn't go. You didn't have to go to the center. And also, I think many people, not I think many people face difficulties in using the software, using the online format, and then the time pressure, because normally, as we all know, the exam is 60 minutes. You have 60 minutes of writing, uh, 20 multiple choice questions, and 3 minutes for one question if you are that sharp to answer it. So I think that was really, really challenging for many people. So, but anyways, I think most people fail the exam because of the format. Because if you discover if 18% pass rate, that out of 100%, that's quite low. But anyways, how do you improve this time? For those who wrote the exam last year, I didn't write last year, but for those who wrote last year, let's take for example, if you have to improve this time, then you have to be thinking of, you have to start early. You have to understand how to set up yourself already for before writing the exam. You have to understand that your table and everything is already well prepared. You don't want to come at the last second, because it will be challenging, because you setting the software in the last second, then it's difficult. Then also another thing you can look on is like why you have read and prepare. You have to, what your preparation have to have practice uh, exam scenario. What I mean practice exam scenario is that you have to do a lot of more questions, put time and practice it regularly. And then also another thing you can do is you use the book. You have to use the book to put questions, go and pick answers from the book and bring, go and pick answer from the book and bring. Because if you don't know how to use the book, then you cannot use it on exam day. You cannot use it on exam day. So, and also you have to put your time, the alarm that practice each question to be 3 minutes. So if you said, if you're having 20 questions to answer in 60 minutes, try to analyze, put yourself within that test method that each question is 3 minutes. Because if let's take, if you practice like that, it's much better, because on the exam day, if your question past 3 minutes, when 60 minutes arrives, your exam goes off automatically. It saves already. What you have written just go to the system. And also, so you have to use the mock scenario. You have to do the mock scenario very. You have to do it seriously. So those are the things that I can say you have to start doing. And after preparing, you have to start doing those things normally, so that at least you get ahead of time. Then let's look at let's just look at some past questions. Let's take, for example, we can drop some past questions and try to go through the questions, and we'll do questions on RSTP, and then we can do on FFAR. But at least those are the basic things that that you will be facing about the exam on the exam. So if you can handle that, then you'll be quite fine, of course, with your preparation. So let's look at the question. So let's look into some past questions then, while we're just rehearsing. So question one, if they said this one is under termination without just cause, Article 17. So let's say a 24-year-old professional signs a 5 years contract. After one season, he terminates without just cause and signs for another club. Which of the following is most? Which of the following is most correct? Is most correct. So I repeat again: a 24-year-old professional, that's 24-year, okay, signs a 5 year contract. So this is 25, almost approaching, let's 3 years to approaching his prime, signs a 5 year contract. Okay. After one season, he terminates his contract, which means he spends one season and terminates contract without just cause. Without just cause, which means already, if you interpret the question, which means he is guilty already, because he has no just cause to terminate the contract and sign for another club. Which of the following is most correct? So the first thing, when you read the question, you have to already understand, you have to have the psychology of the question, you have to understand the question on your head. So just by reading this question, you can say he's guilty. So any answer that you want to pick, you have to know that he, the 24-year, is guilty, because if you terminate a contract without just cause, which means he is at fault of that. So now let's look into the answer. A, only financial compensation is due. Okay. Which of the following is most correct? Okay, only financial compensation is due, which means he has to pay financial compensation. Okay, no penalty applies. That's B. Okay. C, sporting sanction and compensation applies. Okay. And D, the contract automatically becomes void. So normally, according to if you look at also at the RSTP under contract terminations, you discover that when you terminate your contract, or that if you have no just cause, sporting sanctions and compensation can apply. So that the answer is C. So now there used to be a question I used to always speak on under, how do they call it? I used to always speak on under what's just a moment. I'm trying to think of that question that I always try to think. Let's say if you're 28 years. Okay, well, I will try to but because this applies also here. Let's take, for example, if he okay, protection period. Good. If he terminated this contract when he was under during protection period, because protection period is a period where you cannot if you terminate a contract, you will be seriously you pay serious compensation, and also you get a lot of huge fine. But this he was not under a protected period, because protected period starts is at the age of 18. I mean, at the age of 28. Yeah. So he was still not at that time yet. Of course, he's going to pay compensation. So the answer here to is C, sporting sanction and compensation apply. So when you read the question, guys, the first thing is that you have to try to interpret that question a lot on your head to know what is going. Okay, let's look at question 2. Overdue payables. So this comes under overdue payable. Overdue payables under Article 14 days. Okay, a club fails to pay salary for 60 plus days, despite written notice and 15-day grace period under RSTP. The player may. So to interpret this, let's take for example a player has been playing for a club, and then the club has not paid him for 2 months. So, and then the player still gives the notice, prior notice, I mean, notice already to the club that please pay me my salary, pay me my salary. Because normally, when, according to FIFA rules, it says that when you're not paid for 2 months, before you want to terminate your contract or do whatsoever thing, you have to give them a notice. So these 15 days is the one that the players to give. So despite written notice and 15-day grace period under RSTP, the player may only request, okay, A, only request mediation. B, terminate contract with just cause. C, wait until contract expires. D, renegotiate salary. So I think this is pretty clear. The answer is B. B, because he has done all the things rightly. The first thing is that if your employer doesn't pay you salary for 2 months under FIFA rules, it doesn't pay you salary for 2 months, you have to send them a notice, which is 15 days. You send them when you send them that notice, then if there's no response, then you can go on to terminate their contract. Then you have just cause. And when you terminate that contract, you have to inform FIFA, and then they will pay you all the compensation of the contract you signed with them. So that's how it goes. It's not that you just terminate the contract and then they pay a certain amount. No, they're going to pay you everything at once. So let's look at question 3, protection of minor. Okay, protection of minor. This is very, very important. Okay, let's read. A 17-year-old moves countries because his parents relocated for employment. Okay, good. So if your parent relocated for employment, not based on football reason, that's good. Okay, if a 17, so let's go again. A 17 years old moved country because his parents relocated for employment. He is then registered with a club in a new country under RSTP. This transfer is allowed if A, parents moved for non-football reasons. So that one is correct already. So let's keep going. B, agent guarantees training. Oh, okay, let's go. C, only club concern matters. And D, no FIFA approval needed. Okay, the answer here is parents moved for footballing reason, as I said already. When your parents move, if you're a football player, this actually happens a lot in these days. So there was a story. I remember one. There was a young guy that his father, actually his child is 14 and got selected to go and play for Arsenal, for example. But the father didn't know what to do. So because I was in contact with him, so he rang me and said he doesn't know what to do. Then this thing I was explaining to him, actually, I told him, okay, the only reason you can move, you have to move for non-footballing reason, because if you move for footballing reason, that's already you're breaking the law, because your son is 14 years. Yeah, so these are the things that a lot of parents, actually this rule, a lot of parents face difficulties, because an academy can scout your son. The only way you can move is you can move that you have a job in that country. So those are the things that people parents face. So I hope you people understood this. Okay, the next question here we have training compensation. A player signed his first professional contract at the age of 18. Okay, that's correct. He's at the right age. He spent age 12 to 17 in three academies. Which clubs are entitled? Okay, he signed his first professional contract at 18, and age he spent ages 12 to 17 in three academies. Which clubs are entitled? So, which clubs are entitled for training compensation? First, to answer this question, you must know what training compensation is, and you must know what ages apply to training compensation. So, let's give an example. What is training compensation? So, training compensation is when when a player, it applies, let's say, when you sign your first professional contract, or you transfer internationally to another club, and then the age that those clubs are being paid to train you, those clubs are being paid for training you, is between age of 12 to 21. So let's take, for example, if you moved many clubs, and between the age of 12 to 21, and then you sign a professional contract, all those clubs that you move between age to 12 and 21 are going to get compensation, because in football it is looked at as your development years, age 12 to 21. So, but now this case is talking about a player signs his first professional contract at the age of 18. Good. He spent ages between 12 to 17. So, which means in three academies. So, which clubs are entitled? So, it means all those clubs will be entitled, because he spent his 12 to 17. Between 12 to 17, those three academies are entitled all to compensation. Okay. So, had it been, let's take for example, so the answer is uh, all training clubs between 12 to 21 are, are entitled to compensation, that you when you as a player you move clubs. So between 12 to 21, anybody that you pass any team that you pass through is entitled to compensation for training you. Okay, so let's move forward, because we have more questions. Let me not take so much time on this one. I think most of people understand this one. And then we look at another question, solidarity mechanism. So solidarity mechanism, what is solidarity mechanism? Solidarity mechanism is when, let's take for example, let me read the question before I'm going to explain. A contract transfer value is 5 million internationally. Is solidarity how is solidarity distributed? A, 5% shared proportionally to training clubs. B, 10% paid to player. C, no solidarity applies. D, only last club get payment. Okay, so let's take for example, if a contract transfer value is 5 million internationally, how? So in this case, the answer is A, which is 5% shared proportionally to training clubs. So solidarity mechanism applies when, let's take for example, if a player is being transferred to another club. Let's take for example, a player went for 50 million. So what is 5% of 50 million? 5% of 50 million, you calculate that, and then you get that 5% of 50 million will be shared to all the club the player passed through from the age of 12 to 23. Okay, so solidarity mechanism applies there. This is when there's a transfer fee involved. There's solidarity mechanism. And then if there's no transfer fee, then there's no solidarity mechanism, but there must be transfer fee involved here. So this is different from training compensation. Okay, so those were a little bit questions on the RSTP. So I try to give you a little bit with some details so that you understand how it goes. Okay, let's look at questions on the Excuse me. So let's look at questions, just like questions under FF football, FFAR. Okay, so who may perform football agent services? I think these are quite straightforward questions. These are just basics. So who may perform football agent services? Agent, you have agency, employee, licensed football agent, sport lawyer, consultant. So these are just basic things that I think you should already know this one. Be a licensed football agent. No one can perform agent services unless you are a licensed agent. That is it. So even if you have an agency, the people you hire there, they are not the licensed agents. So only you can perform, excuse me, can negotiate contract and represent player. Okay, B, if an agency employee approaches the player without license, A, is it valid? B, only warning. C, validate violation, agent remains responsible. D, allowed if supervised. So, and what is the answer here? So the answer is C. So it's a violation if someone working in an agency if an employer working in an agency approaches a player without, because he's not a licensed person, but he's working under someone who is a licensed person, that's already a violation, because and the agent is responsible because you don't need to approach any player. So let's go. A client owning shares in an agent's agency, A, is allowed. B, allowed with disclosure. C, is prohibited. D, only prohibited internationally. Of course, it's prohibited. You cannot own share in an agency. That's personal interest, and you cannot be like that. Okay, let's try to run. Okay, an agent with an individual for 3 years is an agreement with an individual for 3 years is valid if signed. Say invalid beyond 2 years, automatically reduced. So this question is, normally a representative agreement is 2 years, no automatic renewal. It's only renewed when, let's take for example the player itself. It's only renewed when you and the player deem it necessary, but there's no automatic renewal. So it's maximum 2 years. So the answer is C, invalid beyond 2 years. So maximum representative agreement with the player is always 2 years. If the player wants to work with you again, the person can renew it. Number 5, automatic renewal clause beyond 2 years. Valid. A, valid automatic renewal clause beyond 2 years. A, is valid. B, is it enforceable? C, non and void. D, valid if the player agrees. There's no automatic renewal within an agreement, so the answer is null and void. So when you sign any representative agreement, there's no automatic renewal. It only renews after you people have spoken, and it has spoken that okay, we both are happy we're happy with this relationship. Let's move forward. Let's try to renew this. And number 6, before signing with an agent, with an individual, agent must offer discount. No. Provide oral advice. No. Inform in written about independent legal advice. Yes. That's C. And D, register agreement first. So you must always, before signing with an individual, what the agent must do, he must inform the person that you are working that try to seek legal advice. What I mean by that is seek advice from a lawyer in writing. It's important if in writing, because if anything happens ahead, at least you did something. You did, I don't say you played your part, but you acted according to the law. So number 7, Can an agent represent releasing plus uh, an engaging entity? This is quite clear. A, yes. B, yes with consent. C, no. D, only internationally. The answer is no. You cannot represent two parties, an engaging entity and a releasing entity. So, what is an engaging entity? It's like both clubs, one releasing player and one buying the player. That's what they call releasing and engage. So, those are actually words that you have to master a lot, because normally those are terminology that they use in the exam. They would use engaging entity. You have to know, is the buying, the club is buying, releasing, and then you get releasing entity. So you have to know all these words. Next question is dual representation permitted between releasing entity and engaging entity? D, individual plus engaging entity. C, individual plus releasing entity. D, or three. So the answer is B. Dual representation is only permitted between individual and engaging entity. So the individual and the buying club. Okay. And then dual representation requires oral consent. No. FIFA approval. No. Explicit written consent. Yes. C. And then D, federation approval. So it's C. So anything you do, you have to always put it in pen and paper in writing. And question 10, multiple agreement with the same club allowed if same transaction? No. Excuse me, guys. Okay, let's go. Multiple agreement with same club allowed if same transaction A, different transaction B, um, FIFA approves, C, and under 1 year. Listen, so different transaction. Guys, I'm having a little bit of cough. Not even, my nose is a little bit blocked. Not cough even. My nose is a little bit blocked. So still, I'm here for you people. No worries. We're almost rounding up. Let's see. Number 11, representation agreement must include nationality, service fee, agreement, bank details, tax number. I think you should know this one. Service fee. Is it 5%? Is it whatsoever percent? You have to put it there as an agent. There's no representation agreement that doesn't have a service fee, because your service fee is the one that they have to pay you according to the percentage of the agent. And I heard also that the service fee in Brazil is 7% and all those things. But normal FIFA has a service fee. This is where agents, there are a lot of different service fee. Here in Germany, they say 5%. But normally FIFA says service fee is 3%. But you hear people have different percentages elsewhere. So agreement missing signature is valid. No. Conditionally valid. No. C, invalid. Yeah. D, valid if registered. So the answer is, if there's any agreement missing a signature, which we all know this is invalid. So connected agent representing different parties in same transaction. A, allowed. B, allowed with consent. C, prohibited. And D, only domestically. So if connected agent representing different parties in same transaction is not allowed, so it's prohibited according to FIFA rules and regulation. Agent must always satisfy A, federation rules, B, Article 5 eligibility rule, C, club rules, D, local law only. So agents must always satisfy that you're eligible. Article 5 eligibility, that you are always eligible to represent a player. Representation with club's duration. So this is different from representing a player. So let's take for example representation with club duration. What is the maximum duration? Maximum 2 years, maximum 3 years. There's no duration, guys. No C, no maximum, no maximum. D, 5 years. So the answer is C. There's no duration, guys. D, 16. If clients negotiate without agents, A, that's illegal. B, must state no agent involved. C, automatically void. D, requires FIFA approval. No, I think in this case, most people always fail this part, thinking that a player cannot negotiate his contract without an agent. Actually, people can negotiate a contract without an agent, but the thing is that one thing that people always look for an agent is that the club tends to just give you ever what you want because you don't know what you're doing. And normally, when a player doesn't have an agent, it shows that the player is always probably desperate because, and secondly, they'll say, in some ways, almost like you're not good. That's why you don't have. That's why agents are not running behind you. Okay, let's go next. Agency contractor without license may negotiate, may approach players. Agency contractor without license. Mm, no. If you okay. So this question was if you have agency or a contractor without license, which means that agency has no license, can they approach player A may negotiate, which is wrong. B may approach players, no. C cannot perform agent services. That should be the right answer. D may sign agreement. So the answer is cannot perform agent services. If you don't have a license, you cannot work as an agent. Number 18, agent remains responsible for A, only own act. B, agency employee conduct. C, club errors. D, player actions. So in this case, it has to be agency employee conduct. Number 19, person holding player registration right may own agency. Person holding player registration right may own agency. A, yes. B, yes, indirectly. C, no. D, will consent. I think it's no. Person holding player registration right. First of all, you cannot first hold a player's registration right. You might be okay. A person holding player registration right. Now I understand. These are one of those questions that are a little bit tricky. So, person holding player registration right may own agency. So, who is this person? It's a club. So, if someone, let me say, if you have registered a player, let's say, for example, you are in charge of a club, so you can also own an agency. So, these are one of those questions that they may sound easy, but they are tricky. And last question. Representation agreement must specify A, FIFA license number in transaction document. That's correct. B, player's shared number. No. C, transfer value. No. D, passport copy. No. So the answer is A. Okay, guys, I've tried at least. I've tried to do this with you guys. And my nose is really blocked, but today I had to come for the video so that at least I can share something with you guys today. Anyways, we'll leave it here today, and then tomorrow, Saturday, we continue again. So I hope most of you guys, when you're going through this question and answer, you can try to listen to it again because anything I answer, I try to explain it. I try to explain so that at least you can get value for that. Okay, so take care, guys, and have a nice time. Take care. Cheers. Bye for now.